Aloha, everyone. Jody Mountain here with Lineage of Light on the island of Maui and more of the Ancient Wisdom series. I guess I have a bit more for you in the realm of the principle that everything is connected to everything else. And I find this principle really practical and really helpful in daily life because ultimately this work is about how we move inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves in just our everyday life, and whether that life includes your work, body work, it includes any type of work or any type of relating to others. The work is extremely practical for finding the most harmonious movement in life, so that life is not a struggle and life is not a restriction, but an opening towards forward movement. So I was working today with range of motion in my body. There's a practice that we have in the work called Ho'omanamana, and Ho'omanamana has to do with meeting places that just meeting the body where it is, let's say, and allowing any places that are holding or tight to become free. So in the Western mind, the way we might approach that is by pushing and making it happen and trying to get there. And in ancient wisdom, what we want to do is we want to meet any challenge, we meet any restriction, and then we just feel with it, we breathe with it, we play with it, we listen to it. And in that process of recognizing even just that holding in the body as alive and as life speaking to us, that holding tends to develop more space around it. And eventually, much of the time, if not all of the time, tends to become free. And so the energy that was bound up like that now becomes available energy that can move and can contribute to our life force. So I was working with a few different paradigms today, including Ho'omanamana, of meeting my range of motion. And I realized that that's kind of a huge, that topic has huge reverberation in our lives. That the range of motion in our body is not unrelated to the range of motion in our perspective, in our ability to see the possibilities. And I think what I see, and in some of what I've experienced in our current political climate in the US, is a lot of polarity, a lot of very entrenched feeling on one side of the spectrum and a very entrenched feeling on the other side of the spectrum. And both parts believe that they are absolutely right, and both believe that the other polarity needs to wake up. What I find helpful about this this connectivity with range of motion is that it opens up the possibilities in our belief systems, in our thinking, in our relating. And so as I work with the range of motion in my body, I don't know how to explain that I can feel it, but I can almost feel it having a deep effect on my perspective in life. And so I have ended up at this moment anyway with a perspective where I will look at all these different bits of information coming towards me, and I will say to myself, I don't know. Maybe that's true. Oh, that's a possibility. And that's a possibility. That's a possibility. And in the end, what becomes important to me is not what is true, because in some ways I might never know that, but where do I stand in myself? And where is my availability? Where are my choices? How am I going to move in my life? What allows me to have the most motion, the most harmonious motion in my life? And a lot of things come into play there, and not just the ideas that are coming towards me, but how things land in my system, in my body, and how my body responds to that. But in the end, what I feel really happy about is that I don't have any answers, and I don't feel I know what's right and what's ultimately true, but I know that any movement towards acceptance and allowing, and when something strikes me as important, I will definitely go in that direction. So I'm a believer in all the practical things about writing letters and marching on the street or doing whatever you need to do if you are called. And I think that this work with Ho'omanamana and working with the range of motion has been helpful for that. It doesn't mean necessarily that if you have a really stiff body that you have a very narrow range of motion in your perspective, because however your body is right now might be, for your body and for your growing up years and for your movement experience, this may be a huge range of motion. This may be very full. It doesn't mean that further is better or more is better. But it does perhaps point to the opportunity to feel into our range of motion in the body, and to work with it in a gentle way. As I said, one of those ways is Ho'omanamana, which we do in our live workshops. And I'm not sure if I have any Ho'omanamana classes up online at the moment, but if I do bring them on, I'll let you know. But just to work with them, work with that range of motion in yourself in a gentle way. And the beauty of that is that the work, Kahu used to say that the body gets it first and the mind catches up later. So just to, even in your fingers, just to feel where the stopping point is, and then where the next soft edge is, and just feel into that. Not to try and crank it and stretch it, yeah, or with your bigger muscles, your arms and legs and so on, but to just feel what's really true. Oh, this is actually where I stop. Okay, now what? Breathing and listening. Oh, I might have an emotion come up. I might have a memory or an image, and don't try to figure anything out. Just keep breathing and feeling and allowing. And little by little, you may move forward, or if it becomes uncomfortable, you may move back. But eventually that meeting, just that recognition of life in you speaking and your willingness to meet it where it is, will open up some fantastic doorways in your system. I predict. You get to see if that's actually true or not. So yeah, I encourage you to work on your range of motion and notice what might be happening then in your perspective, in your perception, in your relationships, in your inner dialogue with yourself, that you may notice at some point more space and more openness. But it's not something you have to work on. It's not something you have to say, okay, as I work on this range of motion, I am also working on my perspective or my relationship with my dad, or you don't have to do that. Just feel what's true in the body, because in your system is just one being, And so as you work with the body, the repercussions on all the other levels of being are happening in this paradigm. So I hope that gives you some ideas of moving forward on this particular pathway, using the meeting of your range of motion. Thanks for joining, everyone. If you would like more information on our live retreats as they start to come back online or start to come back in real life, you can check the link below. The website is lineageoflight.com. And if you're interested in the meantime in online offerings, you can find those at lineageoflightonlineschool.com, also in the links below. Okay, everyone, see you next time. Aloha.